Welcome back to Thrive at the Top, the podcast for leaders, safety professionals, and decision makers navigating high-pressure industries and are done with surface-level solutions. Here, we talk about the realities of human performance, psychological safety, resilience, and what it actually takes to sustain people and performance in complex operational environments. I'm Mabel Munyimani, founder of Complete Wellbeing Global and the creator of the Safe Pillars Framework. At MMC, we help organizations strengthen human performance, operational resilience, and disclosure readiness in high-pressure environments. So, over the last few episodes, we've explored why people stay silent, what happens after they disclose, the unique risk profile of high performers, and why technical performance is not the same as human performance readiness. Today, I want to bring all that together because there is one question sitting at the center of this entire conversation. How do organizations know whether they are actually safe enough to receive disclosure? Not whether they have the policy, not whether they have EAP, and not whether they tell people to speak up. That's not what we're talking about here. But it's about whether people genuinely trust the system when it matters the most. And that is exactly why we developed the Human Performance Disclosure Standard. So many organizations rely on self-disclosure. They rely on people speaking up when they are fatigued, when they are struggling, when something is affecting their health, well-being, judgment, or performance. Particularly in industries like aviation, yet at the same time, many organizations struggle with under-reporting, delayed disclosure, and silent suffering. Not because people don't understand the importance of speaking up, but because they are constantly weighing up the risk. What happens if I disclose? Would this affect my career? Will I lose opportunities? Will I be judged? Will I actually be supported? People are making those calculations every day. For years, the conversation has focused on encouraging individuals to speak up. We believe there's another side of the equation. Organizations also need to be ready to receive disclosure. Because disclosure is not simply an individual behavior, it is an organizational capability. You can encourage disclosure all day long, but if people don't trust the response, they won't use the system. Trust is not built by what is written in a policy. Trust is built by what people observe happening around them. The issue becomes particularly important in aviation. Aviation is one of the most regulated industries in the world. Yet, many safety systems still rely heavily on self-disclosure. We ask people to tell us when they are fatigued. We ask people to tell us when they are struggling. We ask people to tell us when something may affect performance. But disclosure only works when people believe it is safe to do so. If they don't trust the process, the risk doesn't disappear. It simply becomes invisible. They hide. An invisible risk is often the most dangerous kind. The Human Performance Disclosure Standard was developed to help organizations assess and strengthen disclosure readiness. In simple terms, are your systems trusted enough to receive disclosure when it occurs? The standard examines the organizational factors that influence whether people feel safe, supported, and confident to raise concerns that may affect health, safety, or performance. It provides leaders with visibility into strengths, vulnerabilities, and opportunities to strengthen trust. Most importantly, it shifts the conversation from why aren't people speaking up to what would make it safer for them to do so. So what's the bigger picture? The bigger picture isn't just about well-being. It's not just about compliance. This is about human performance. Because readiness depends on what organizations know. And organizations can only act on what they know. When people remain silent, leaders lose visibility. And when leaders lose visibility, risk becomes harder to manage. The Human Performance Disclosure Standard helps close this gap, not by forcing disclosure, but by creating the conditions that support it. If there's one thing I hope this series has highlighted, is this. Disclosure is not an individual responsibility alone. It is a shared responsibility between the individual and the organization. People need the confidence to speak up. Organizations need the capability to listen, respond, and support effectively. Both sides matter. So if your organization relies on self-disclosure to manage safety, performance, or human risk, here is the question I would like to leave you with today. How do you know your system is trusted enough to receive disclosure? If you're unsure, that's exactly where we can help. The Human Performance Disclosure Standard provides a structured way to assess disclosure readiness, identify gaps, and strengthen trust before risk becomes visible. To learn more or to discuss disclosure readiness within your organization, contact Complete Wellbeing Global for a confidential conversation. And until next time, remember, technical performance is important. Human performance readiness is essential. Thanks for joining us on Thrive at the Top. I look forward to seeing you in the next series.